Hello, welcome. In our previous video, we discussed the new Hollywood era and its impact on the masters of horror that I discussed in my previous video. Well, today we're going to continue with that story and display two other directors I didn't have time to put in the video last week, those being John Carpenter and Wes Craven. Also, a quick side note, in my previous video, I referred to Shelley Long being in The Shining, and I was wrong. It's Shelley Duvall. So forgive me for that. And join me, won't you, for part 2 of New Hollywood and the Masters of Horror. One of the most prolific horror directors to step out the New Hollywood period of 60s was the Halloween director John Carpenter. While known for his films such as Halloween and Escape from New York, Carpenter is also a director known for intense sequences and long shots, tight spaces. He also creates his own music scores for his films, and Carpenter tends to cast actors he has worked with before. He's also directed non-horror films such as Big Trouble in Little China and the aforementioned Escape from New York.
Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael? Halloween.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure.
Sure.
The only reason she babysits is to have
Halloween.
Okay,
Come on out.
Halloween. The night he came home.
In 1968, young boy Michael Myers murders his sister Judith on Halloween night. He spends the next 10 years in a facility for the criminally insane under the care of Dr. Sam Loomis. On Halloween 1978, Michael returns home and proceeds to massacre several teenagers. This film was an introduction to Jamie Lee Curtis, as she has already established as Hollywood royalty by that point, and introduced a terrifying villain to slasher films of that period, Michael Myers. The film would also go on to be one of the highest grossing independent films in history, only being beaten years later by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The film was also distinctive in its use of shadows and set of dark, frightening tone.
Our masters!
What are
these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy?
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
They're running the whole show.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you. Blinded us to the truth.
Take a look.
They are safe as long as they are not discovered.
I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them.
Stay away from me. Put these on. They have us. Look at them. They're everywhere. Our owners.
We have no other choice.
I don't like this one bit.
Leave it alone, man. It ain't none of my business. Ain't none of yours.
We have been lulled into a trance.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble. Control us! You're sending some kind of signals out of TV sets.
I've got one that can see.
Mama don't like tattletale.
Now we start spilling some blood. Let's go!
Push a button.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nada, a homeless worker traveling through a average city, more likely Los Angeles, and looking for work, finds a box of sunglasses that show a strange real world hidden beneath our own. A world controlled by a strange, frightening alien race that are secretly in league with the rich and powerful. This film stars the late Roddy Piper as Nada, and this is a perfect casting for Piper as he does a great job portraying a struggling worker thrown into being a hero. This film is infamous for its political satire of the period. Carpenter, who injects his own personal politics into the film, was very critical of President Ronald Reagan at the time the film was released, and this film is used to criticize Reaganomics of the time. The film features great special effects, and the creature designs of the aliens is very frightening. They very much resemble zombies or ghouls. And the clever way of using sunglasses as the only way of seeing them creates a very paranoid atmosphere. Carpenter would later go on to say that was one of his favorite films to work on, and it truly does shine.
You absolutely mad.
The riots began because the stores could not meet the demands of Sutter Kane's novel, In the Mouth of Madness.
Kane disappeared 2 months ago without a trace.
He's the guy that writes horror books.
You can forget about Stephen King. Kane outsells them all. I need to know if he's alive or dead, and I need that book.
It's a setup. I just have to work out how it's set up.
Kane's writing has been known to have an effect on his readers.
See this? It's a map. This whole thing has been staged.
You just get out.
This is not reality.
It's all happening for real, Trent.
This book will drive people crazy.
Let's hope so. The movie comes out next month.
An insurance investigator is sent to find a missing author whose books have a strange effect on his readers. This ends up leading the insurance investigator to the strange community of Hobbs Bay that may or may not be the creation of the author. This film stars Sam Neill as John Trent, the investigator sent to find the author, Sutter Kane, played by the amazing Jurgen Prochnow. The film also features appearances by other amazing actors such as Charlton Heston and John Glover. This film is heavily inspired by Lovecraftian horror of H.P. Lovecraft and has amazing creature designs. This movie is often cited as being one that will make you question what you see. This film is also a part of a larger film series that he developed called the Apocalypse Trilogy. This film, plus Prince of Darkness, and I'm not sure what the other one is, so don't quote me on that, are all inspired by Lovecraftian horror. And this movie will make you question what is real and what isn't. When we think of modern horror, and the directors that impacted the most of that genre, one name always comes to the top of the list: Wes Craven. In the late 70s, as horror films changed to be more gruesome and violent, a new director would produce 2 films of that genre in the 70s. Wes Craven was a filmmaker and storyteller of the highest caliber, and his films Last House on the Left are both gruesome, visceral films that truly speak to that period of the horror genre. While these films would be very hard to watch for modern audiences, they were often considered revolutionary for the time as being very brave and bold. Both films are equally disturbing, but the follow-up film to Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, often is cited as channeling the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in its execution. However, Wes Craven wouldn't truly make this mark on horror until the 1980s, when he would go on to create the horror icon of that decade.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You could just see cuts happening.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
Tina! What's the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No! No!
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
In the sleepy town of Springwood, Ohio, a mysterious rash of teens are dying in their sleep. A mysterious killer is stalking these teens, and a young woman by the name of Nancy must find a way to stop him. This film stars Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, John Saxon as her father, Johnny Depp in his first film role, but the film will also be remembered for the introduction of one of the legends of horror, Freddy Krueger, played brilliantly in this film by Robert Englund. Englund, who had gotten his big break on the TV miniseries V, would later go on to play one of the most legendary characters in his long career. The film was what launched the film studio New Line Cinema, which is now a subsidiary of Warner Media, soon to change. This film features amazing effects and film sequences, and the film is terrifying, and the use of the dream world as a setting allows the film to showcase creative death scenes. Most legendary is the death of Johnny Depp's character, where he's pulled into his bed. This is also one of the most terrifying sequences of the film.
There is one house that adults whisper about, and children cross the street to avoid. Now, Wes Craven, creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street, takes you inside.
Something's in there.
We gotta get out of here, Leroy.
All sorts of rumors about what goes on in that house. The police never took it serious.
She's been feeding that thing between the walls again.
Very, very tense about this.
What goes on in this house is a sin. But what goes on under the stairs is a nightmare. Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs.
A young inner-city youth named Fool, in an attempt to save his apartment, tries to rob his landlord's house. When Fool becomes trapped in the walls of the house, he soon discovers a disturbing secret of the landlord and her husband, including mutant humanoids in the basement, and a strange relationship between the landlord and her husband. This film is one that mixes some humor with a dark and twisted story with clever dialogue, which would become a staple in future Wes Craven films such as Scream. The film stars Brandon Adams as Fools. Adams would later go on to star in the Mighty Ducks franchise and The Sandlot. This film also stars the landlord and her husband, Wendy, Robbie, and Everett Miguel. The film stands out in the use of its tight, confined spaces and creature effects. And while the people who live under the stairs are quite terrifying, there are many moments where you kind of get a little bit of a chuckle. They also are quite terrifying in their physical designs.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies. Now, he's taken his love of fear
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
one step too far.
Do you like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie. Number one, you can never have sex. Hey, shoot, this me. Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. Get another beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
He didn't make the rules.
The police are always off track. If they watch prom night, they'd save time.
He just kills by them. Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
Everybody's a suspect!
You're not scared, are you?
Scream.
One year after a brutal murder in Woodsboro, California, a young teenager and her boyfriend are brutally murdered. Someone starts hunting young teenager Sidney Prescott and her friends using horror films. As the tagline of this film goes, someone has taken their love of scary movies too far. This film features the rapid dialogue of a script by Kevin Williamson, and Wes Craven brings out the best in his cast, which features up-and-coming young Hollywood stars Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, Pete Ulrich as Billy Loomis, David Arquette, Rose McGowan, Courtney Cox Arquette, and Hacker standout Matthew Lillard. This movie uses the concept of self-aware meta-humor and storytelling. The examining of the horror tropes was a refreshing take on the horror genre in the 90s, as many tropes in the 90s were considered to be very silly by the audience. The 90s was also a declining period of horror, as many horror films were being released direct to home entertainment such as VHS. Scream is often cited as a film that revitalized the horror film franchise.